Welcome to this episode of Chattin with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Alyx Gold.
Hi there.
Hello.
Hey,
How you
Bill.
doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, happy to be here.
I found you on the internet. A lot of people have seen your videos. Matter of fact, So's the Ghost just highlighted one of your videos.
What video?
He's a motorcycle content creator, motorcycle club content creator, and he highlighted the story about the kidnapping.
Yeah. Okay. Well, wild times, I've got plenty more of those where that came from. So.
And I found you on Kevin. Is it Lanning?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Kevin Lanning, Rise Above. Yep.
Shout out to him. He's got some great content.
Yeah. Shout out Kevin. He's great.
Where were you born and raised?
I was born and raised in Columbus, Ohio. My parents divorced when I was around 10 or 11, and my mom and us kids moved to Akron, Ohio, where that's kind of where all my crazier journey started. But I was in junior high school there, and then found myself back in Columbus later on around probably 2021. And I've been in Columbus ever since.
What was your teenage years like?
Oh, gosh. Loaded question. I suppose they were typical in some ways in the beginning. I was a young, insecure girl that I liked boys. And when I started to figure that out, I wanted attention. I liked the validation that I would get. I was also really nervous because of like those insecurities. I always was kind of undervaluing myself. And so then I would kind of jump around to all the crowds of people because as long as I could secure that I was liked in every kind of friend group, then I felt like I was good then. And I didn't have a problem with that. I learned really early on to be that's funny. I've said that. I have a pet chameleon, side note now for my son. But I learned to be a chameleon very young. And, my parents were divorced. It was just my mom and us kids. So I grew up quicker. I kind of hate hearing that sometimes because I really didn't grow up emotionally. I just, I grew up physically and by choice. I started hanging out with older crowd in survival mode. You just kind of do grow up fast. I learned that, like, I think I had this perspective that I always like to share where I thought the world was I was really sad about the world really young. And I don't know why. I think it was just kind of that. Maybe it's that like artist, music, creative souls that like we have. I just thought the world didn't love each other enough. And I'm like, well, I got to escape that because I'm not supposed to be here and that. And so then I was very like eccentric and outgoing, and I wanted to try different things really young because of that. Anything that could make me feel alive and like there was love around. And the easiest place to find that and find no judgment was so really quickly or substances in general. But I mean, really early on, I was doing, I was smoking weed at 11, 12. I was smoking cigarettes at 11. I was drinking with friends at 12 and I felt like I was 20. And by 14, I was doing hard. I started doing hard. And so when we talk about teenage years, it's just interesting because like, I feel like I had a blink of those like formative years where it felt more innocent, but that was so short-lived for me because I just kind of entered into this like underground world very young. Does that make sense?
Yeah. A lot of people that experiment with and use, they always remember the first time they did like a major type of like or crystal or something. Do you remember the first time that you decided you were going to cross over into doing a harder type of?
I do. Yeah. I have a couple of those like first moments because they were certainly different experiences with like amphetamines versus opiates and things like that. But because I was never like a pill kid, I didn't do like the experimenting with the pills. I think I maybe tried a Xanax here or there at a party and it was somebody's mom's or whatever. But actually I did. I tried a oh God, what were those called? I don't even remember what it was called, but either way. So I tried a couple pills, but it was never anything, that I liked. And then
Norco.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
The Norcos. Only once or twice, clearly I ever tried it, but somebody's mom's. But I did at 14. And I don't, what I remember is the space that I was in, and like the experience of the substance itself, not as much, because I was already so drunk and partying with friends. They smoked it off of a foil. I smoked it too. I remember feeling like, you know, like, holy crap, this is different. But I also was so drunk, I think I did pass out like pretty quickly after. But that same week where the experience kind of really came into play was I met a guy who sold it through an older friend group that I had. I was 14, so whatever grade we're in, but the friend group I had at that time was either graduated or in their senior year of high school. Most of them were graduated a couple years out of school. So was a guy that I liked at the time. He and I was like messing around with. He was much older than me. And he had a friend that sold it and he would buy it from. And I like to be like, I'm everybody's friend, right? Like if we walk into a room and there's 10 people, I'm going to find the most important one. At least back then, I'm going to find the most, what I deem to be important or powerful or whatever. And I want to, put me there. And so I'm like, I'm going with him. I'm riding with the dope boy to go wherever he's going. And so I went on some runs with this guy. He was probably, he was probably 28, 29 at the time. I'm 14. Yep.
And these people have no problem hanging out with a 14-year-old.
No. And I look back now, my God, that's why I'm like, I joke. I'm like, I will lock my kid in a basement so fast. Not really, but like, that's what I feel in my soul. Like it's scary out there, but yeah. So, but yeah, it was like, it was nothing. I granted, I probably looked about 16, maybe 17. I made sure to carry myself in such a way. And like that survival mode stuff, we do tend to present older when we're living in that mindset for a minute. But I was a kid,
Did you lie about your age and stuff?
Not, I did maybe several times in the beginning, but not at this point. Like I did whenever all I was doing was, in my eyes, harmless, like going to college parties and drinking and whatever and meeting people and those frat parties. Like I would lie about my age there, be like, I'm 17, because I felt so funny the way our brain is. I'm like, I feel bad if I like say I'm an actual adult, because I'm really like a liar. But if I say 17, I'm still saying I'm underage. So I would lie about that, give or take like a year or two. But then once I got into this crowd of people, like they all knew my age. They knew what it was. They knew I was going to school once a week, if that. Yeah. So I went around riding with him, and we wound up at his grandma's house in Akron, who lived, I don't know, in these kind of like project apartments. She had some health issues. Rest her, hopefully she's alive and well. If she's not, rest her soul. But this is some years ago, and I know she was elderly then. But go to her apartment. She's asleep in the bedroom. He like still lives there clearly, or lives with her. And we went in, and he pulls out needles, and he's getting ready to. And I was like, oh, like, okay, well, and he's like, well, you never done it this way? And I was like, no. And I was like, I would try it though. And
you're 14. You're 14 at this time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, 14. And he's like, well, I was like, how do I do it? He's like, you want me to just do it for you? I was like, yeah, because I don't know what I'm doing. He's like, okay. So he does his, and now mind you, I'm watching him like, how is this going to go? Because that'll determine whether it sounds like a good idea or not, I guess. Terrible logic reasoning. But so I watch him, and he, I was too naive to recognize that like, this is a man that is a fully grown man who has done this for much longer probably than I have, and can handle it a bit more than what I could. So he certainly felt it when he did it and was just like, ooh, there it is, like a little whatever reaction. And I was like, okay, like this sounds fun. All right. And yeah, so he got me a shot ready in that syringe and did it for me. And in that moment, I will never forget, because it was the most terrifying thing. And then lo and behold, I did it again, a couple hours later. But it was the most terrifying thing. I did it, and he had put so much in there. I was all of probably, I don't know, 100 pounds soaking wet. And I did it, and like all of a sudden I have this major ringing, and then it goes quiet, and then my eyes completely go black. Like I could not see. So I fell, and I was on the ground, and I'm like, I can't see. And all I remember is like, because everything, yeah, everything was functioning at 1,000 times the speed. My heart was going through my chest, and I couldn't see and I couldn't hear. I could hear like a faint him talking, like laughing, actually, like, it's okay, you're okay, like trying to calm me down. I could faintly hear that. And then all of a sudden I start feeling like it's like a big rush of air came into my lungs, and I was able to breathe because he kept telling me, like, calm down, breathe. And I was just like hoping I would come out or whatever. Well, I didn't know what was going to happen to me. And I felt a rush of air, and my eyes started to clear up. I could see, and everything felt loud, like extremely. That's the best way I can describe it, is just that, like, every sense that our senses, it's like my senses were on 100. And I stood up and I'm walking around and I'm just pacing, and I'm like, oh my God, this is insane. I don't even know what I'm feeling right now. But it's wild to explain that, actually, because thinking back, I'm like, who would want to do that again?
Yeah, it doesn't sound fun to me.
No, it doesn't sound fun.
Not at all.
But you know what? It was an out of life experience. Like, it was an out of body experience. And I was not a secure or happy, like, young girl. I just wasn't. I wanted to feel something more than what life gave me, outside of like what pain, in the way that I understood it then. And I always just felt very deeply. And because my mind was already such a chaotic place, it was like this, as much as it seems like, okay, I say the world kind of became loud, but my mind became quiet. Like, it's like everything around, I felt like I could accomplish anything, and then I didn't even have to hear my own thoughts in the process.
So it worked for you. It
yeah.
worked.
Yeah, it worked. It worked for what I wanted it to work for, which was to not feel. So yeah, so that was like the start of all of that lifestyle for me. I mean, I was in it from that day forward. I was in it. I barely, over the next several years, I would meet a 32-year-old man within the next month of that. I would meet a 32-year-old man who I would start dating when I turned 15. I was just about 15 then. So turned 15, started dating that man. He lived in a double wide trailer about 15 minutes from my mom's house in Akron. I still went to school. I don't know how. I mean, people are like, you don't remember. I don't remember a thing. I truly don't remember a thing from my sophomore year on. Nothing. I mean, I don't know how I even survived it, because I could never piece a timeline together or anything like that.
Did your mom know that you were doing this?
She did. So, I mean, it was very quickly that, like, because I would stay gone. So my mom was going through her own shit at the time. My mom is the most incredible woman I've ever known. However, she had a really rough chapter, and it just so happened to be during this time. My mom is like a former Marine. She was stationed at the White House, the Pentagon. She's an incredible boss ass woman, but she was a single mom, not making the greatest money, a nurse in the ER. She had an old prescription of Percocets, and she started abusing them. I didn't know it. This was right around middle. I was probably 13 or 14 and a half. And I knew something was wrong. So meanwhile, all these things are starting to happen. I'm starting to enter all these spaces in life. And she was just miserable. She wasn't a happy person. So I did everything I could to stay away from home, which in turn later, when I finally got clean, was the most heartbreaking piece of like healing, was recognizing, like, I left my brother and sister. They were my whole world. My little brother and sister, they're twins, left them like there to deal with her shit. But because, they were 2.5 years younger. So just not quite old enough to be like running around finding friends and honestly, I mean, I'm glad they weren't doing that, but I was just like, I'm not going to be here for this. And I think my mom just knew, like, she couldn't stop me. So instead of fighting it, she would have rathered I stay gone after a certain amount of time, because it was like all I did was bring chaos, to her house. And after, I would say, the first couple weeks of being in this crowd, my mom found needles and spoons in my bedroom at her house. I was probably staying home 1 or 2 nights a week at that point, and being out the rest of the time, maybe go to school one or 2 days a week too.
What did she say to you when she found this stuff? Did she like sit you down and say?
No, I don't really remember, but I do remember, like, she was in protection mode of my brother and sister. So, like, despite whatever she was going through, she was just like, you got to go. Like, Alyx, this is like, you could kill, like, you could kill your brother and sister with these in this house and like all of these things. And she's like, you need to go and don't come into my house till you fix what you got going on. And I'm like, there's my ticket, like, bye. And I left. And I moved into his double wide trailer. I would come back and get like clothes and shower and things like that at my mom's house sometimes and whatever. But I mean, like it's honestly all a blur those next few years where school was still a thing. I actually fast forward to being clean when I went to college several years in. I had to call my high school and say, did I graduate? Like, did I get a diploma? And they're like, well, we have it on file that you graduated, but you didn't get to walk the stage. You didn't get to, like, you never got your diploma. And I'm like, well, I need it sent. I need my transcripts because I'm going to college. They're like, okay. But somehow I did pass. And I think it's because my teachers just passed me, to be quite honest with you. There's no way I had several like F's and D's in my transcripts when I applied for college. So I'm like, I don't know how they passed me with this, but either way. So I would go back to my mom's like a couple times a month. And then eventually I just like stayed gone. And that same guy, when I met him, it was literally that guy that I did with the first time was dropping off to a customer who turned out to be this man that I dated. I didn't leave his house. I just was like, okay, well, now's my next chapter. I'm going to stay here now. I'm not running around with you anymore. And I just stayed at his trailer and I never left. That would start a whole nother world because he also did. And I would come to find that out a couple weeks later. He hid it from me for a minute, like, which I now know is probably just because he didn't want me to start it, mostly because he didn't want to share, probably. Because I would have been the same way. But what he told me when I found out, I walked in the back bedroom, which is where we slept. And I walked in there one day and when he had people out in the living room, he probably didn't think I was going to walk back. And he was like, I was like, what is that? And it was like brown on the spoon. And I'm like, he's like, don't worry about it. I'll meet you back out there. I'm like, is that like, I knew what it was, but like, it was never spoken about out loud there in front of me. I didn't even, and it still felt a little bit more evil to me. Like, even though it's all just as bad, but to me, that was like, I had heard things and like stories from, I don't know, celebrities, just different things.
That was the end of the line, basically, right?
The end of the line. Yeah. Exactly. And so I was like, well, I want to do something. And he's like, you're not doing this. Like, I'm not letting you do this. Please don't. You will regret it forever. So a couple more days goes by and I'm like, whatever, dude, like, whatever. So I keep doing a couple days goes by and he was like going out and like sleeping with other people and doing all types of things. We were toxic pretty quickly. And I would stay there and like sell his like and different stuff to customers or just get or wait for him to go try and cop something. Sometimes I'd go with him. We'd go like do landscaping for his dad. I don't know. It was crazy. But either way, one day he goes and I'm like selling stuff to somebody that's coming that somebody dropped a bag off to him. He said, sell some of it. Somebody's picking it up. And when she got there, I was mad at him because he had stayed gone all night. And I was like, I'll show you. And I told the girl, I was like, I'll give you the rest of his if you show me how much to do of this so I can do a shot myself. And I'll just give it to you. She's like, say less, I'll for sure. And she did. She got it ready for me and I did a shot. And that moment, I mean, will forever change my life. It was probably 10 or 11 at night. I don't know. It could have been later. It was dark. There was like one street light with a picnic table under it on one little round patch of grass that was literally purposeless in the center of like the cul-de-sac in the trailer park. And that's what I remember is I walked out the door after I did the shot. I was like floating, just floating. And I walked out and I felt like I was in a fake life. I felt like I was in a movie and I walked out. I saw the picnic table. Everything felt peaceful. Everything was quiet. And I felt like I want to do this always. Like this is when I want to feel forever. Yeah. And I threw up about 10 minutes later outside of that picnic table, came back inside. Like I threw up and I want to do more.
Yeah. You don't care, right? It doesn't matter.
Didn't care. And when he got home, he knew I did it. He got home shortly after that. He knew I did it. There was no, what was he going to do? I mean, now we're going to do it together because that's just what it's going to be. You're not going to do it without me. So that's when I started doing it. 15. And the only time I ever stopped doing it from 15 up until 7.5 years ago, I would be in jail or treatment. The many times I went to treatment and tried to stop or was forced to go to treatment and tried to stop. So those were my little first time experiences.
Was there ever any police interactions when you're younger?